Yo, welcome to the K-Mac channel. Today we're going to be breaking down Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Brought in a specialist in the field here, all things considered with Batman and Superman, Mr. Jack Connor from the Phoenix Report.
What's up, man?
What's going on? And I got RJ here.
Yo, yo.
What's going on? So I'm a little skeptical about this movie.
Okay, why is that?
Just because the whole premise, Batman vs. Superman. Please help explain to me and maybe some of our listeners, some people viewing, why exactly is Batman and Superman going at it?
Well, this movie is a direct response to what happened in Man of Steel.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who have seen that movie, that ends with a large fight in the middle of Metropolis,
right,
where Superman and the United States government are trying to defend the planet against the Kryptonians,
right,
led by General Zod,
right,
who are from the planet where Superman's from, so they have his powers. They wanted to basically wipe out all life on Earth and remake Earth into a new Krypton,
right,
and repopulate it. So the problem was, and this is essentially Superman's first day on the job, and he ended up fighting Zod, who had all his powers, and there was a big fight in the middle of Metropolis,
which was very
unfortunately
long in that movie.
Yeah, which was definitely a source of contention for a lot of people who didn't like that as part of the movie. I personally loved it, but
what about the final kill that Superman
gave
to Zod?
Yeah, and spoilers, Zod dies at the end, but
or does he?
No, he definitely does. He definitely got his neck snapped. So sorry, spoiler alert. The movie's been out.
Don't watch the movie.
The movie's been out for 2 years. If you don't know, it's shame on you. Go rent it.
You're probably not gonna watch it anyway.
Right. So, but that happened, and it's funny because it kind of mirrors the reaction in real life, where people were kind of mad at that movie for. It's like, well, Superman would never, endanger all those people, which I will argue that Superman did not. He was trying to save everybody. It was General Zod who was doing all that stuff.
Right.
He was trying to do what he could. He didn't want to knock buildings down. It just happened. It was just collateral damage. And this movie is basically the premise of this movie is that Batman has been around for many years. I think he's about 20 years into his career. He's in his mid-40s or something, and Gotham is relatively close to Metropolis in this iteration of it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering that whole thing. Like, does Superman go to Gotham, or how does this work?
Well, apparently, from what I hear, Gotham will be sort of like how you have New York City and Newark, New Jersey. They're right near each other. So they're almost like a Twin Cities kind of thing.
Okay.
So
Here's the question I want to ask Jack, because I know he's a huge Batman fan, is what do you think about the lead role for Batman, Ben Affleck? Not only is he going to do this movie as Batman, but we have some news that there might be a trilogy in the works. We know we have the standalone Batman movie that he'll be starring in.
And he will be in Justice League as well.
This guy he's the Batman.
I think it's a great choice, and I'll tell you why.
What?
Yes. I know a lot of people freaked out when they heard Ben was cast, which I think is understandable, because anytime you have an iconic character like Batman or like Superman, it's hard to cast an actor who everyone knows, because it's almost easier to have an unknown person in there, because the character is so iconic. You don't want that to overshadow.
Kind of like Superman. They
Right.
With a unknown
no one
guy.
really knew who Henry Cavill was.
No.
He had been in a few other stuff before that, but by and large, he wasn't a huge name. And a lot of people didn't even know that he was British, because he did the American accent so well. But yeah, so obviously, it could have been anybody who was famous. People would have freaked out about it. A lot of people have opinions on Ben Affleck as a person, as an actor, or whatever. Here's what I know about Ben Affleck. He is a legitimate, huge Batman fan. He always has been. In fact, one of his friends in the business, Kevin Smith, the director and writer, and who he's worked with.
You mean Silent Bob?
Yes, Silent Bob, who everyone knows. Also a huge Batman fan. Ben Affleck is a legitimate, just Batman fanatic. In fact, the only reason why he played Daredevil in 2003, because he figured that would probably be the closest he would come to playing Batman.
And that movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Right, and Daredevil, now Daredevil, as some of you comic fans may know, there have been a lot of really good Daredevil stories in the comics written by Frank Miller, who obviously was a legendary writer for Batman. He wrote The Dark Knight Returns, which part of this movie is influenced by, although it's not a direct adaptation.
Yeah.
I think he's really evolved as an actor over the years. I think he's I think he is not only going to do well at this, I think he's going to crush it. I think he's really going to take this role seriously and throw everything into it.
Can he break the Boston accent? Because Batman can't be walking around with a damn Boston accent.
Well, he's not going to be like Chucky in Good Will Hunting. He's going to speak with his normal voice.
Well,
so,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, because he always has, every movie I've seen with him, he always has.
he's not he's not going to go
He
into...
doesn't sound like Batman. And then look at this picture here. That is, Ben Affleck can never be that. That is not...
Well, that is him, though. That's him in that picture.
That's him with a crazy suit on to make him look like he's ripped.
Well,
like,
no, he actually got into some crazy shape for it.
We'll have to see. Because, I mean, he's naturally just a skinnier guy as it is. Even if he gets... ripped,
he got huge. He got huge for it. He really bulked up for it.
I'm not nearly as optimistic about Ben Affleck as you, Jack. I think he's not going to do that well. We've seen some terrible Batmans in the past, like George Clooney. I think he could be one of those.
Oh well, this movie is not going to be that by any means.
Well, we'll see.
In fact,
it's definitely
if you're saying
better
it's the,
directed. I'm
if
sure,
you're saying it's the follow up to that last Superman movie, I was not a fan of Man of Steel. I thought that was terrible.
Okay,
my opinion.
Well, maybe you might not like this if you didn't like Man of Steel. I don't know, but maybe this might turn you around. You never know. I mean, it's not out yet.
The trailer looks amazing.
I will say this. You mentioned that there was a possible trilogy that Warner Brothers has announced, or that they're trying to get Ben to sign on for. There's a reason for that, because they recently had a screening for that, like of an early cut of Dawn of Justice. They recently had a screening of that for execs at Warner Brothers, and from what I hear, it was a standing ovation.
Nice.
They loved it so much, they're like, okay, we need to keep this going.
That's what I was saying. That's kind of dangerous putting him in all these future Batman, because if for some reason this fails, you're going to have Ben Affleck again coming back for another one, and 3 of them total.
Well, one of those things,
dangerous.
If it failed, then obviously that other stuff wouldn't happen, because they just wouldn't continue with it. They would. But so obviously the studio has plenty of confidence in.
Yeah, the previews look good, and the previews look good for Superman too, and it got me hooked on that. And I've been I was more of a Superman fan when I was growing up than a Batman fan, and I really thought the movie could have been good, and I think it really failed. I mean, the whole last half of the movie is just them flying into buildings, fighting the whole time, and to me, they took away from a lot of the movie, because to me, that movie should have been based on a lot more of the upbringing of Superman before getting just large attack and fight mode the whole rest of the movie. And then like there's scenes in that movie where why didn't he's freaking Superman and he lets his dad die. He could have blew the tornado. He could have used his speed to go grab his dad and come right back. Like, are you kidding me? What is this?
I agree. That was the one scene in that movie where I didn't like. I wish that there wasn't really a need to kill Jonathan Kent at all. I mean, because there have been a lot of versions of the comics where he was alive when Clark was an adult and he was there. He had both his parents for a while.
That was really cheesy part of that movie.
Yeah, so I didn't care for that. I mean, the fight scene didn't bother me because, I mean, it had to...
It was Transformers, I'm sorry. It was straight up, that's what it reminded me of.
A little bit. I mean, I saw why they did it, because you needed a dramatic reason for Superman to go public. Obviously, he needed to go for something that was on such a global scale. That's why he went public. So I understand why they did it. And it bared the burden of being an origin movie. They had a lot of ground to cover. And I would argue that they did that. I think they really did a good job of establishing where this guy came from, how he got there. I mean, yeah, there were things they left out, but I mean, there's only so much time you can have in a movie. And I thought they had a lot of ground to cover.
I just know a lot of people lost interest in that movie, because I mean, seriously, the whole last half of that movie, that was just constant fighting. It's like, look, we know they can beat the shit out of each other. We know they can be tossed through buildings. It's Superman. You can't kill him. So, this is pointless to do this right now. You could do this in a lot shorter time, still have the same result, and have some more of the storyline playing out, because kill them and then all right, that's in the movie.
Yeah, that's fair. But I would almost say it's probably more of a reaction to like Superman Returns, where he didn't throw one punch in that movie.
Yeah.
So he threw a ton of punches in this one. So, but yeah, I think they're obviously trying to set up their universe and and that's sort of the premise of this movie, similar to the reaction that you have, similar to the reaction we have in real life.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are a lot of people who died in that attack, and if it's one of those things. If Superman was real, people would really be afraid of him, and I think that's really what this movie is going to deal with. He's people are going to be mad at him for all the. People are going to be afraid of him. They're going to be mad at him for all the lives that were lost.
So where does Batman come into play here? He thinks he's going to save Metropolis of Superman, or
if you notice in that latest trailer, they had like sort of scene where like lasers coming out and the building was falling down.
Right.
That was one of Bruce Wayne's buildings.
So that's not Superman doing that, or is that Superman?
That was Zod. That was
that's
General Zod.
See, in the previews, they like to make you think that's Superman doing that because they're setting Superman to be like, oh, he's bad. And
Right.
So that's what I didn't like at first. I was like, what?
Superman didn't.
Where is this coming from? Like,
Superman didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, besides Zod, but that was the thing, and I would figure if that happened, a lot of people didn't really know that because it's like, well, we still don't know anything about this alien. Supposedly he's the good guy, but we don't know that for sure. And now you saw that shot in the trailer of Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. He was there just on the corner. He was talking to somebody. Chances are he knew people in that building. Probably people he knew died in that attack. It was probably one of his buildings. So it might have been employees of his. So he's seeing that. You saw that shot of him, which that was one of the best shots of that trailer for me, by the way, because it just, it affected me emotionally because we have seen stuff like that in real life. We've seen 9/11. It reminded me of that, of people running away from the smoke, and you saw Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne running into it.
yeah.
That was such powerful imagery. It's like, yeah, that's why people connect with these characters, because that's what Batman would do. He would be the guy to go in and put himself in harm's way to help other people.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how they direct it. I mean, obviously, we know the idea is great. It's Batman. The idea is always going to be great. Batman running in, saving people. The ideas are there, but can they actually put it on film and make it good? I'm still a little skeptical. I know you can't wait for it. You said
I think so.
earlier you can't wait for the day
He brought in Chris Terrio, the writer of Argo, to come in and work on the script.
That was a pretty decent movie.
So this is going to tackle a lot of themes, like how these two guys meet, how they come together. Obviously, they're going to be at odds because they don't necessarily agree on everything.
Yeah, Batman probably doesn't trust them.
Yeah, and Superman looks at this guy who's going around, he's a vigilante. For all Superman knows, Batman might be a criminal.
Okay.
So none of these guys know each other. Meanwhile, you have guys like Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, who's probably pulling...
What do you think about that? I was going to ask you about that.
Well, I mean, I think his role in that, because that's what Lex Luthor does. He's behind the scenes. He pulls the strings. He's very manipulative. He probably gets in the press and for some reason, it looks like his company took General Zod's body from the end of it. So who knows what they're going to do with that.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of implications as to what's going to happen. I know Wonder Woman is going to show up in this thing. I don't know what she'll be doing.
She was in the trailer.
Yeah.
She'll factor into this somehow. I think Aquaman is going to show up at one point.
No.
Played by Jason Momoa.
Now,
Oh,
Jason
really?
Momoa's he's in it. So.
Yeah, he is going to be Aquaman. So
Okay.
they're doing this. They're doing this to set up for Justice League, which
Now
is coming
that's
out.
what I'm. That's another red flag for me here. You start bringing in these other people here, and it's
Yeah.
no longer just Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
And we know how many comic book movies are coming out that are scheduled. It's already been released. There's a ton of movies coming out. I just don't want this to be let's get everybody to the fucking movie theaters because it's Batman versus Superman,
Right.
and then we'll start branching off and doing all this other crazy shit in the movie. I hope that doesn't happen because, you have two powerhouses here, Batman and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to bring them together on film. It really needs to be solid. It needs to be solid between Batman and Superman.
Well, I mean,
I'm still a little worried about them bringing
and
other
I think
people
it
in
will
here.
be, but I think
It's getting a little
they'll.
far-fetched.
I mean, I don't think these other characters. I think they'll acknowledge that they're there and at least just kind of plant the seed. That, I mean, eventually, because by the time this is resolved, eventually these two guys have to get on the same page.
Right.
And eventually spin that off into Justice League. So there'll probably be like mentions or like maybe like one scene or something where they show Aquaman in the background or whatever his role will be. I mean, I imagine that, because what happened in Man of Steel, that was such a global thing. It probably forces all these other heroes to come out of the woodwork and be like, hey, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of, I mean, they're building their universe. They've got a lot of movies scheduled for the next, 5 to 10 years that are coming out that's going to compete with Marvel and all this other stuff. So it's an exciting time. If you're a fan like me, I can't wait for it. I've got, I mean, granted, I mean, we don't know what it's out yet, so let's all reserve judgment, but and it's okay to be skeptical because, I mean, obviously there have been bad movies before, we all know. Mm-hmm. But I've got a really good feeling about this. Based on everything I've heard, I'm all in.
We'll see. It's going to be hard to follow up the last Batman trilogy.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to follow Christian Bale as a Batman, too, because I felt, in my opinion, he's the best one.
He was great. I loved those movies.
So.
Although the thing, I mean...
Michael Keaton.
Yeah. But, I mean, the thing about this version of Batman, that will not be connected to those movies at all. So
yeah.
people will be like, wait a minute, didn't Batman retire in the last one? Well, it's like... Forget about that one because it's
totally different comic book. Yeah.
This is a different iteration of it,
which is understandable. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's kind of interesting how they are playing it off of Man of Steel, though. It's
Right.
a continuation kind of that. So.
Yes. So Man of Steel was the start of this new DC cinematic universe,
Which is good because they kind of took a somewhat of a darker approach with Superman, which is good. I like to see that. So they're going to continue it on, obviously, with Batman because he is the
like
Dark
Superman
Knight.
himself isn't dark, but the world he's in, it's a more realistic setting. Because let's be honest, if Superman were real, not everybody would like him. People would be afraid of him. People would be like, "Who is this alien? Is he going to kill us all? Like, what's that going to do?"
I think once he started saving people, then people
Right.
were like, "Oh yeah, Superman's the greatest thing ever."
But there are always going to be people like Lex Luthor who think he's a menace and who want to kill him and that sort of thing. So,
what's the release date on this?
That is March 26th,
2016.
2016. Also, that same year, Suicide Squad is coming out. That's going to be connected to that. That's going to be also in that same universe.
We'll have to break that down on another episode.
Oh man, that's a unique concept that they haven't done before.
Sure. So
yes, it's like the Dirty Dozen meets comic books.
All right, Jack. Well, appreciate you joining up on the show today. Definitely enjoyed your insight, and you may swing me a little bit. Still a little skeptical, but
all right.
Definitely maybe get a little more steam. Still got a long time till this comes out, so we'll see some more previews. And if we do notice any more red flags, we will bring them up.
Fair enough.
Make sure we cover them.
Batman's
I'll be coming
costume.
at you, Jack. I'm bringing some tough questions to
All
you.
right, sir.
I know you're all about this movie. RJ, appreciate you joining in as well.
K-Mac, thanks for having me on the show, man. It's always a pleasure.
No problem, man. And appreciate everyone listening and watching. And keep it trippy.
You know it.